Are you thinking of embarking on reupholstering an ottoman similar to this one? I'm gonna show you how I reupholstered this. I almost made a couple fatal, actually I did make a couple fatal mistakes. See what I did and let me teach you what not to do when you're doing upholstery on an ottoman like this. This is a roadside find. It was a mid-century modern vibe. It had different legs on it. It had a gray tweedish fabric with some square pattern and a couple buttons tufting. I completely changed it up and gave it this so adorable cottage vibe with new legs, casters, and this gorgeous floral fabric. Let's get started. Also, this is part 2 of this ottoman reupholstery series. Part 1 I did actually on a YouTube live. If you want to start right from the beginning, it took about 54 minutes. So it is detailed step by step, every little thing. So here we go. We're going to continue on with this ottoman reupholstery job. We're gonna put the welt on next. I'm gonna mark on here where the welt is gonna go. I've got my sharpened chalk ready to go so that I can mark this and attach my welt evenly on the whole piece because you want it to be in the same spot. You definitely don't want your welt doing this on here. The top of my wood is at 4.5 inches. So I'm gonna take this down to 4 inches and that's where I'm gonna put my welt. Right, then I can go ahead and connect the lines. So this dacron is fatal error number 1. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to take off this dacron. I'll have to cut this, take off the dacron because I did this wrong. I shouldn't have stapled the dacron all the way down. I should have just brought the dacron down right to the wood, stapled it to the wood here. You know, sometimes I don't really think things through. Okay, after I got my line drawn in here, I've got a couple staples here that are too far up. So I need to take these 2 or 3 staples out carefully so that I don't make a hole in my fabric. So now I can re-staple that. There we go. Now I'm happy with that. Now I'll attach my welt. I'm gonna start on one of the sides because I'm gonna try to match the pattern on this side and this side. This side I'm probably not gonna be able to because I just don't have enough fabric. So I'll start with my join on one of these sides. So as you can see here, I am perpetuating my error in my ways and I have not cut that dacron off and now I'm stapling my welt on top of it. And so because of that, my welt is gonna be a little bit lumpy, which makes it difficult to get the welt to be perfectly straight. And you can see right there, it is not perfectly straight. And I should have took those staples back out, but I didn't. I hesitated. And I don't need to put a whole boatload of staples on the welt because I'm gonna come back in and put tack strip and my boxing fabric. So there's gonna be a bunch more staples in here. So I don't need to go crazy with staples on this welt. Now we're back to the beginning. I will go ahead and cut this. I'll go ahead and pull out some of this cording. Now I've got to cut my pieces for my box and match these patterns. So let's get that going. So like I said in the live, I had only one curtain panel to do this project. And so what I had to do was I had to take out the hem. Thankfully, there was a double like 5-inch hem in here. So there was about 10 inches of fabric in the hem of this, which was really good because now I can utilize that to match the pattern. Because this has such a large repeat, I didn't measure it, but it's probably 27 inches. This is the repeat. So for me to be able to get this pattern again, it's going to be another 27 inches down my piece of fabric. There's a lot of waste when you're having to match patterns that are this large. Okay, so let me find the side. This is the top. Okay, so let's see. That's the same direction. This is selvage to selvage here. I had pulled the selvage to those sides. So now I've got to find, there's that floral, and there's that floral. So we're going to be way down here with that pattern. Okay, there's that leaf. So I'm going to be finishing this leaf right here. And y'all, I should have matched this up before I put the welt on, but I did not. So what I'm gonna do here is match this up. Let me grab some pins, and then I'm gonna finger press it so that I've got my upholstery pins, and I will pin this and then finger press it so that I can then take it back down and cut it. All right, I'm gonna have to put this thing on my sawhorses because this is not working out good. Oh, that's better. Okay, that looks good. I feel like my welt got a little bit low here. I'm gonna take out these staples right here and raise that welt up a bit, but I can take this off now and cut this fabric. I gotta go get my bigger scissors. All right, I'm gonna remove that and raise it up a bit. I'm gonna go ahead and see what I can do around the sides so that I can sew these pieces together. Pattern right here is the center of the pattern, and it's basically this one here. So I'm gonna have just enough to get to the bottom, I hope. All right, I need to go a little bit more. And this is that flower there. So that's about it. Okay, so I have this little stem here. Okay, that looks great. That continues that pattern down that section. And now on the other two sides, I'm not going to be able to match the patterns there. I will just kind of fiddle with it and see what looks best. It's just important that you match on one side, which will end up being the front, and then match up your seam. The other important part is that you match up your... Where did I seam it? I can't even see it. Am I missing my seam? Oh yeah, my sewn seam is right here. So it's good to go ahead and match your seam so that's not so obvious, because you are going to have one seam clearly at the corner where we finish, but this is the important thing, that you match those seams. So now we can go ahead and staple this on. I am going to just hold this in place and flip it and put a couple staples in. Just to hold it so I can take my pins out. So now I can take my cardboard tack strip and we can flip this up and fasten the tack strip. And so I like to push my tack strip up against my welt really tight and then staple right up to the welt. Okay, good match. Yep. I'm going to switch over to my longer staples because I probably should have had the longer staples in there the whole time. Okay, so we're going to have to join this. So I'm going to go back to here. We'll put the joint in the corner here. Okay, now I'm going to bring this around that side. So that's the way we're going to go down with that. And then this one will just fold over like so. And then we'll staple underneath and then I'll stitch that shut. But before I do any of that, I really need to put another piece of Dacron on here, and then I'll go all the way around, stapling along the bottom, around the whole piece, and then we'll close this up. So let me trim this off. Does not need to be this long. All right, and let me cut some Dacron. Okay, so I got my strips of Dacron cut. And then the reason why you put this piece of Dacron here, and you really want the edge to be nice straight cut, which mine's not super straight. But anyway, you want that to go here on top of your tack strip because it will just, I need to staple that. That tack strip didn't get up. You see that? I need to put another piece of tack strip right there, and I need to check that. Let me show you real close right here. So I flipped this down to take a look at it, and look at, so first of all, there's a little bit of a belly on my welt there, you know, it goes like that. So that really needs to be addressed, but the issue really is that my tack strip didn't get nice and close to my welt, so my tack strip needs to be pushed up. So I'll just get another piece of tack strip and staple it right there. That's bad. But this is also why you put the Dacron here, because it puffs up this here. And I better go around and check the whole thing. Let me check this all the way around before I... Okay, everywhere else looks good. All right. So you just want to make sure that you get that Dacron right up on top of that tack strip. You don't need a lot of staples. Okay, so I flipped this baby over and we're working our way around and stapling to the bottom. And I will say that if you're going to do a contrasting welt, it's got to be really, really straight. And I'm afraid this is not very straight. One other thing is I had that other piece of Dacron on here. I should have probably took that off. It's too puffy. And your Dacron, you don't want to staple through it. So cut it right at the edge of your piece so it's not wrapping around. You don't want to staple through Dacron and you just don't want to wrap it around because it just gets too bulky and it creates rippling. There we go. And I will stitch that down. Okay, very good. Once that's stitched, that should look good. And let me just bang some of those staples down and get the tack strip nice and flat there. Now I can trim this off and put the dust cover on, and then we'll put the legs on. I am going to just close up this corner where I brought the boxing back around and met the beginning. So I will just do a ladder stitch here. I do have a whole video on how to do this invisible stitch or the ladder stitch, so I won't get too in the weeds with this because you can just watch that video right here. All right, there she is. She's far from perfect, but perfect from far. It's not exactly right. My methods can be a little janky, but I do love the final result, and hopefully I won't sit and scrutinize it every second I'm sitting at it. If you are looking to learn upholstery and you are a very beginner, I do have an upholstery basics for beginners course, and it will show you how to reupholster a Louis style chair, which is the very basic, most beginner place to start on your upholstery journey. So if you're interested in that, you can click the link in the description box below, and I will see you on the next video.